Have you ever been tempted to try to publish a book on Amazon KDP? The idea sure is tantalizing. A free way to publish a book and possibly reach millions of readers? I knew I wanted to try it, so I did. Ta-da! As I share this journey with you, I'm also going to sprinkle in some tips or teach you about the helpful things I learned along the way. This way, it not only helps you, but it also helps me retain and lock in the things that I learned by speaking it out. I also share with you my 3 big noob mistakes I made along this process. So get ready, grab some coffee, maybe a notebook, and settle in for this deep dive with me on what it was actually like to publish my book on Amazon. The very first thing I had to figure out was, what kind of book did I want to create? Personally, the low content books had no appeal to me. It does seem to be an oversaturated market. There are so many videos showing how to spam Amazon with junk journals or blank notebooks. It just doesn't sound very appealing to me. I knew there was no way I could possibly compete with the level of spamming going on there. Why do so many people do low content books? Well, because it's easy. So that tells me I should do something hard. There's not a lot of people who like to do hard things. Harder it is, that means less competition, more standing out. Now, while I really love the idea of writing novels, I knew at this point I wanted to do something I could finish relatively quickly, just so I could get a feel for it, how it works, how well it works, what I need to do, the process, you know? I didn't want something that would take me a year to do. So I asked myself, what's something I could do that's unique or helps me stand out? Or do I have any unfair advantages? I could think of one unfair advantage I have. I can actually draw. So that led me to believe that I should try children's books because I could illustrate my own books. And I know this is a big hurdle for a lot of children's books authors. It's a big expense. They have to pay illustrators to illustrate their books. I could do my own. Next up, the most important question: who is my target audience? Who would be purchasing these books? Certainly not the kids. And I think this is the tricky part with children's books is, on one hand, you're writing for the children, but on the other hand, you kind of have to write for the parents too, because they're the ones you have to convince to actually purchase your book for their kids. So then I attempted market research. I'm sure I should have done a ton more. But basically, what I did for this is I went on Amazon and looked at popular children's books that were already on there. See what was doing well, what people were saying, what people liked. Checking it out, basically. I was a little overwhelmed at this point. I'm just like, oh man, these people are amazing. Oh boy. I tried searching a few different topics, and I think I nailed down an underserved market, a specific niche that I personally could relate to. And this is fiction books for homeschoolers. There's a whole lot of homeschool education books, but not so many fiction books geared for homeschoolers. Then I decided to get a little more specific, and I came up with a story about traveling homeschoolers. And I didn't realize until a long time after this that there's actually a term for this: world schooling. And maybe you're asking, how in the world did you come up with this kind of random specific idea? Well, I drew from my own experiences. I grew up homeschooled, and then later on in my life, I did van life for 2 years. These two experiences collided and brought forth the idea of a family of traveling hamsters who renovated a bus and explored the U.S. Ta-da! More of this market research included figuring out the age of my readers. You're supposed to have a very specific age. And it seemed to me, based off of my research, ages 5 through 8 would be ideal for my story. I asked questions such as, what age groups like picture books? And what's the ideal reading level for my age group? Or how complicated can the words be? Okay, now here is a point I want to make for you. When writing your first book, set realistic goals, time frames, deadlines. For some reason, I had the notion in my head that I wanted to make this first book in 1 month. I thought that was a pretty reasonable amount of time, right? Oh, but this goal was arbitrary, based on nothing. I just liked the way it sounded in my head. I had no basis or reason to think that 1 month was enough time to not only write, illustrate, and publish my very first book, but also market it. Oh, what a silly goose. And hey, maybe in the future I could get good enough to crank out a book a month. That would be amazing. But if you're writing a book for your very first time, I would highly recommend giving yourself grace during this initial process. You don't want to stress yourself out or guilt yourself or call yourself a failure before you're even done with your very first book. Be very careful not to kill off your inspiration before you even complete your book. Just be patient with yourself and try to enjoy the learning process. Okay, so all this, figuring out what my series was, doing market research, that took the first week. And then I wrote the book. And this was the easiest part of the whole process, ironically. This might be ignorant of me, but I don't think actually writing a children's book is hard at all. And yeah, I could be extremely naive and unaware of the fancy way to word children's books. I did throw it into Hemingway just to check the reading level and grammar and such, and it did fine. I don't know, to me it seemed pretty easy, fun, and simple to write Meet the Nutmegs. The hardest parts were yet to come. Next up was figuring out what size I wanted the book to be. I decided on square, 8.5 by 8.5, and just so you know, hardcover is not available on KDP with this size option. Maybe this is just me, but I had a hard time trying to find out what my size options were for children's books on the KDP info pages. I actually had to dig on someone's blog to find out what size options I was working with here. But maybe that was just me having trouble finding the right info page. There wasn't a great reason for me to choose the 8.5 by 8.5. It's just I was always envisioning the book as a square, so that's what I did. Next up were my sketches. I was planning on digitally painting my artwork on the computer, but I always do better sketching out my drawings first. And actually, an interesting note, partway through the book, I stopped sketching out on paper and just did the sketches straight on the computer. And I think you can actually tell because the style looks slightly different. Next time for my next book, I'm definitely gonna plan and sketch out every single page beforehand. It was really fun to do the sketches, and I'd just take a picture of them on my phone, transfer them to my computer, and then pull them into Krita. Krita is a free and open source program similar to Photoshop or GIMP, and that's what I've been using lately. It works pretty well. And I also had this really old drawing tablet, a Wacom Intuos 4. It's a little beat up and a little laggy, but I'm just using what I have. That's what I had to work with, so that's what I used. And now, actually illustrating the pages, this was the hardest, most time-consuming part of this whole process. And as any artist can attest to, drawing on demand doesn't work so swell. Artists do best when they create out of inspiration and not out of deadlines. I definitely experienced burnout during the illustration phase. They just took so much time and my eyes were bugging out. And I don't really enjoy drawing animals, which is just funny. It's like, why did I choose hamsters and not people? I love drawing people. I don't like drawing animals, and yet I chose hamsters. I did this to myself. Hey there, just checking in. I'm at about 20 pages in on my artwork, and this is pretty exhausting, not gonna lie. I'm surprised how burnt out I'm getting. I was not expecting to get so burnt out with my artwork. I'm about 20 in and I need at least 24 images, but it's gonna be over. It's gonna be, I think, 32 or 28, or I can't remember. Anyways, I'm also feeling very inadequate in my artwork abilities as I research other people's children's books. Their artwork is so phenomenal, and my style is very different from what I see online, which could possibly be like an advantage because it'll stand apart in a way, but it could also be a disadvantage that it's just so different than what people are used to. Wish me luck. I'm really hoping to get this finished soon, and I'm pretty much assuming this is going to be a disaster. But it's a necessary first step to learn all the things I don't know. I have to figure out what I don't know by just getting this done and on there and learning from this first experience. Yeah. Seems like a lot of work just for it to be a failure, but that's okay. We learn from failures. Something that helped during this illustration phase was listening to audiobooks. That way I felt like I was doing double time. I was doing illustrations as well as getting really valuable input in my life. I started getting really bad headaches too, partly from the screen, and then also I had part of the window exposed for airflow. And the glare of the light from the window was that plus the screen was giving me such piercing headaches. So I ended up just really making it a cave in here, putting the blinds up. And then I also used these blue light blocking glasses, and they helped so much, and my headaches went away. So I will link these for you because they do help so much in case you're interested. Headaches are no fun. Nailing down your workspace and workflow was really helpful. Having just like enough space to, it's always a mess over there, coffee and everything. And it didn't take me long at all to realize, oh boy, I'd better program my tablet buttons for shortcuts that I used all the time, such as the brush tool, fill tool, and Control Z. Definitely clicking that button all the time. Now for my next book, the main thing I'm going to do to help me get through this illustration process is simply take frequent breaks, especially if I get frustrated or angry, which it happened a lot. Just walk away and come back later. And then just for me to just try to get one completed drawing done a day. There we go. And I think the illustrations took me at least a full month to complete, maybe more. I guess I'd say I'd average 2 hours per page, but I know some took way longer than that. So a lowball guess would be it took me 56 hours to illustrate this book. Okay, one big tip I'll add here is something I thought I was doing this whole time, but apparently forgot to at some point. Make sure you paint everything in different layers. I really tried to be intentional about doing this because I know it can be a headache, but I must have been so in the zone or just too tired to realize that sometimes I forgot to split up the layers. You know, this is gonna save your butt in the future. If you do everything in one layer or just a couple layers, it's just gonna give you such a headache. You know, once I went back to my paintings to try to clean them up, get them absolutely completed, and then I tried to erase some of the mess ups and realized to my dismay that it was all on one layer and I couldn't easily just erase. It's just like, oh, why? I am going to talk about some big mistakes I made during this illustration point, but we'll talk about them as I discovered them. It was around this time I started doing some YouTube research on what additional pages I needed to include in my book. And here I discovered Evie Jones, who is amazing. Please check her out, and she has so much information that just saved me. From her, I learned about front matter, back matter, what information was needed for my copyright page, how to write the about the author page, and I also learned that it's okay to ask the reader to leave an Amazon review if they liked my book. So much helpful information. Highly recommend visiting her channel. So I whipped up those additional pages, and then I created the cover with the Amazon KDP cover calculator. And that was actually, you know, some of their stuff I don't really like, but their cover calculator was super helpful. It told me exactly what dimensions I needed, and it even created a template for me, so it had like the perfect sizing, and I didn't have to stress about getting the sizing right. So that was very helpful. Okay, so right now let's talk about one of the big noob mistakes I made during this process. Now, I had already learned about bleed size before I started my illustrations, but for some reason my brain misinterpreted what I had learned. What I thought it meant was Amazon's gonna like stretch your drawing a little bit, so just make sure that important stuff isn't over that line. I don't know. I was confused. So there I was just doing 8.5 by 8.5 thinking, oh, it'll be great. They'll just stretch it and I don't care if that part is cut off. No, I was wrong. You do actually have to add in that size I was so mad at myself for this stupid mistake, because it's like, it wasn't even out of ignorance. I knew about this bleed size thing, I just misinterpreted it. Thankfully, I was able to resize them without losing quality. My new template size was 8.625 by 8.75. The bleed allowance you need to add is 0.125 for each exposed edge, which is why the height needs to be accounted for twice, because it has both the top and the bottom. Very important to remember this when you're illustrating your book. Next, I had this whole silly adventure when trying to upload my manuscript. I had originally pulled it into Canva to create the PDF that Amazon requires. I downloaded it, upload failed. What, why, what now? I tried some more research. Did I make sure everything was flattened? No. Try again, upload, failed. Did Canva export it as CMYK? No. Try again, upload, failed. More research. Some people are saying they always have problems with their Canva PDFs. Okay, try a different program. Download LibreOffice. Try again. Fail! Oh. More research. Is Canva downloading it as a print PDF or just a normal PDF? No, print? Okay, try again. And fail. At my wit's end, right when I'm at the point of just absolutely giving up, I try one more thing. Something I should have tried from the very beginning. Can you guess what it is? I switched browsers. And it worked no problem. Oh my gosh. Firefox could not upload the file. Chrome uploaded it just fine. Oh my word. Oh my gosh, I was like, there went 2 hours of my life I'd never get back. Good grief, why didn't I just try that right away? Now I know. Now hopefully you know too. So Canva did work for me then, in the end, which is great news because Canva made everything so much easier. And my final Canva download settings were flattened print PDF CMYK. Uploaded that one just fine, and then I could see the preview of the book, and in this preview I saw some of my words were outside of the correct zone. I had to go fix that, recreate a PDF, and upload it once again. Somewhere during all this trial and error, I had to intentionally change my mindset because I was getting real discouraged. I was getting all upset and despairing and just quickly turning into a useless puddle. I realized that wasn't gonna get me anywhere. So I tricked myself and told myself to view this as a game. Each new problem was like a scavenger hunt clue, each problem getting me closer and closer to the prize. This mindset change helped me immensely. Finally, everything looked good. Okay, great, it's all in order. Here we go. I was so excited, I ordered a proof so that I could see how it looked, but then my excitement got ahead of me and without thinking, I just clicked publish. Do not recommend. Don't publish your book before you can inspect the proof. I was so excited for this proof to arrive and it finally came. I was so excited. Here's the clip. Okay, so my book came early. It's supposed to come tomorrow, but here it is. I'm so nervous. Here we go. Oh my gosh! It's beautiful! And that's the not for resale thing on it, so oh. Okay. Oh. Honey, oh, it looks so beautiful. Oh, okay. I feel like it's like slightly darker. Oh yeah, and this is supposed to be like pure white. It's a little gray. But okay. Oh. This paper definitely feels like cheap. Cheapo. It's kind of slippery paper. Wow, this is surreal seeing it physically right here. The dark city. Oh, it looks so dark and scary. Whoa, that came out really really different. Everything's kind of like darker and kind of grossish colors. Yeah, this does not look very good. Yeah, these kind of came out like super dark. Oh, those colors are not good. It looks like green. Oh, gross. That doesn't look good. I suppose that's to be expected a little bit. Like the color won't be exact, but the end, Ember books. About the author page, there's me. Wow. Made in the USA in Coppell, Texas. Okay. Ooh. I like the glossy cover though. Okay. Initial thoughts, really cool, but also the colors are really bad in some pages, which is disappointing. Okay, yeah, we'll figure this out. Cut! Okay, so my disappointment is kind of obvious here. Here is where I discovered 2 other noob mistakes I made. Noob mistake number 2, I did not calibrate my monitor. Now, in the back of my head, I always knew monitor calibration was a thing and was important, but for some reason I thought I was immune to it. Like if I just didn't think about it, everything would be fine. Dumb. Monitor calibration and stuff like that, this sort of thing, always just makes me want to cry. I hate all of that stuff. Yeah. So I'm so thankful my husband helped me calibrate my monitor, and that was just with the computer settings. I don't have any extra hardware or software to help do this. And it's not perfect, but it is a whole lot better now. And my third big noob mistake is that I didn't realize CMYK looks so much more different than RGB. Yeah. I knew that Amazon was going to be printing in CMYK, but I didn't realize it would be looking so different. I went back into Krita and made duplicates of my images, converted the duplicates into CMYK, and the difference between these two, astounding. Very evident to see that it's very different. My beautiful, vibrant colors turned into a horrible greenish yuck. So unless I wanted to redo all my artwork, I had to convert all my images to CMYK and then adjust the colors and curves. And since the proof was horribly dark as well, I brightened up my images by a considerable amount. I didn't like how it looked, but I had to keep telling myself, it's not gonna look like this. It's not gonna look like this. It's gonna print out darker. So with this, my initial reaction was, oh, you stupid idiot. Next time you should just paint straight up in CMYK so you know exactly what it's gonna look like. But then I did some more research and I have decided not to do this because ebooks are a thing. So many people were saying that because Amazon prints aren't reliably the same or consistent every time, you might as well try to have one form of your book that replicates your exact vision, like the ebook. For now, I've decided to stick with painting in RGB for the ebook, and then creating duplicates, converting them to CMYK, and then adjusting the colors and curves from there. But I will be making my RGBs with brighter, bolder colors in mind so that this next step will be a lot easier this time. Besides, kids like bold and bright anyways, not dark and moody. Random side note, make sure to back up all your artwork as you go. This should be obvious, but sometimes it's not. I had to learn this lesson the hard way back in college, so thankfully I had no issues here, but make sure you back up your artwork. Okay, so I fixed this copy, uploaded the manuscript, and ordered another proof, this time without clicking publish first. And I held my breath for a week waiting, feeling discouraged and not very hopeful. I didn't like the brightened, fixed CMYK look of my images. It felt like I ruined all my beautiful artwork. In the meantime, I figured out how to do the ebook version of Meet the Nutmegs. I downloaded their ebook creator thing program and figured out how to do the pop-up text for the Kindle. I got that completed and published. Woohoo! And then finally the second paperback proof arrived. Now that it's finally here, I'm just really nervous to open it because I just feel like it's gonna be awful, like this one, and that I just probably messed everything up. And I'm tired, frankly. I'm just tired of failing all the time. I'm just gonna open it because it's not like I'm gonna give up even if it's bad. Ooh, bright and colorful. Let's see. Definitely way brighter than the first one. Okay, woofty. That looks weird. Very bright. Oh, this one is so much better. This one was really bad over here. Wow. You see that difference? Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so maybe there's hope. Okay. The colors do look super weird here, like the shadows down here, but I guess it's acceptable. Wow. That's a huge difference. That looks nice. Wow. It's quite some differences. Super saturated, but it's way more saturated than I thought they were gonna be, but I guess that's a good thing. Kids like bright colors. Wow. Quite some difference. Barley. Oh, that's kind of weird, but whatever. Whoa. How's that for some saturation? You gotta check this out. Look at that difference. The old one looks so gross. Yeah, let's look at these. No, look at. Holy cow. That's crazy, the difference. Can you believe that? Okay, this looks so much better. This is so much relief right now. This is just so much more bright. Wow, so much relief right now. It's not exactly color accurate to the drawings, the original artwork, but especially when working with Amazon, it's not ever going to be perfect because you can't guarantee what printers they're using. Wow. But I think I can continue. I think I can move on with this now. Like, that's crazy different. Like, I'm just saying, I think I could sell this. I think I could be happy selling this. Look how different this is. I think I'm happy. Getmo. Good enough to move on, right? I have come to love this printed version of my book, and it looks so much better than the dark greenish yucky look of the original. So after 2 months, I was finally able to click publish on my paperback. Woohoo! Hallelujah! Completed! Done! Donezo! Right? Wrong. So wrong. The most important part hadn't even begun yet. Marketing. Oh my Lanta, and this is the stage I am still currently in. It's crazy. I'm not very good at marketing. I asked ChatGPT what social media platforms are homeschooling moms mostly on. It came up with Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook as the top 3, with X and YouTube trailing behind. And since, gosh, social media for me is very taxing, and I'm already on it a lot for YouTube and X as Ember November here, I knew I had to be mindful about what I chose so I wouldn't get completely burnt out. So I decided on doing Instagram and Facebook because they have the easy cross posting, and I thought that would help me out. On my Ember November X account, I've been doing 3 replies and 1 post each day. So I decided to take that same template and do that for Ember Books Instagram. I've gone on there and followed a whole bunch of homeschool mom accounts and engaged with their content. I also post 1 image a day, some about my book, but also a whole lot of pro homeschool content. And it's interesting because while I'm not a mom, I'm still able to encourage and interact with these homeschool moms by relaying my own positive homeschooling childhood experience. It's nice. And it's from being active on Instagram, which normally I mock, is how I found out about hashtag world schooling. I didn't realize that was a thing. World schooling is pretty much encompasses my entire book niche. So without Instagram, I wouldn't have even known about this. So I've learned not to so quickly dismiss some of the benefits and strengths of Instagram. You know, it's been about 2 solid weeks that I've been on there engaging and posting, and I've already got a couple conversations going with some cool homeschool moms. I never really imagined my life would involve me chatting it up with homeschool moms on Instagram, but hey, life takes you all sorts of places. And I have also received a true official copy of Meet the Nutmegs, one without the gray band. Voila. And I'll be using this for marketing by taking pictures, doing some reels and such. That's mostly why I ordered this copy, even though I have 2 proofs already, for marketing purposes. And fun little note, up until the point where I ordered proofs of my book, this whole process of publishing my book cost me a big whopping $0. So 2 proofs and 1 normal copy, it's cost me under $25 to complete this publishing process. I'd say that's a pretty swell deal. And so far I have 0 sales, but I think that's to be expected because I really need to up my marketing game. And now for my next hurdle. I've come to learn that without reviews, nobody will buy my book. So this is my current struggle. What comes first, marketing or reviews? Some say marketing, some say reviews, some say rely on your friends and family to buy your book and write reviews. I've intentionally not told my family that I wrote a book, and I don't plan on doing so unless I obtain some level of success. And I don't have a community where I currently live right now. So I'm definitely struggling with this review mission. That being said, if you happen to be at all interested in supporting this channel, an amazing way you could do that is by purchasing my book and writing a review on Amazon. It would mean the world to me. You have no idea. Like, that would help me so much. If you're interested, I'll leave the link below. So for now, I have completed my publishing journey and I'm now delving into the marketing side. I'm not sure if this will work out, but I really want it to. My husband and I have been talking about how, wow, it'd be so amazing if we could just be authors. Like doesn't that just sound like the most peaceful, quiet life you could imagine? And I already have so many ideas flooding back into my mind, so many stories I want to write. I've already planned out a whole bunch of the Traveling Hamster series, and I have an old novel I wrote back in my early 20s that I would just love to fix up and publish. Plus so many other fun ideas. Seriously, if I could be an author, man, I feel like being an author has always been like this unrealistic dream I've had growing up. Like something nice to do, but not anything you could actually live off of, right? And I still had the mindset of you need a publisher to take you on in order to write a book. But I don't know. In this age of Amazon KDP plus social media, I finally feel like someone like me could have a chance.